In the previous part we left off with the revelation that the mayor was not entirely honest, leading to his arrest. We received a recommendation from Ruan and are ready to move forward. Also in this it's possible to find out about the black Orbment that saved us when we fought the mayor. I'm GiockBul and we are starting. Our first destination is a checkpoint. There we need to obtain clearance and we succeed. We are instructed to pass through a cave leading to this. After Estelle and Joshua depart, Chloe contemplates her desire to become stronger than she currently is. On our way we encounter a little girl rushing to fix the lights in the cave. We can't simply ignore the little girl, so we lend a hand, later she fixes the lights. In return she guides us to this. We head straight to the guild, where we register in the city. We need to meet the factory chief, who can help us understand the black Orbment. After examining the Orbment, he suggests that Professor Russell might have knowledge about it. Russell, the same professor who brought technology to Liberal, was a student of Professor Epstein, the inventor of Orbments. The girl we helped earlier turns out to be the professor's granddaughter. Accompanied by her, we visit the professor, but he is too engrossed in his work to notice our presence. Assuming we are here as his assistants, he starts assigning various tasks, like fetching items and making coffee. Eventually, he realizes that we are on a serious mission about the black Orbment. Not in its seamless design, he suggests cutting it open to understand its workings. In his laboratory, we place the Orbment in a special device that analyzes different Orbments. The result is astounding. The city plunges into darkness as the sphere activates, disrupting all the Orbments. Russell deems further research necessary, leading to its eventual unveiling. The next morning, we find the professor attempting to cut the black Orbment, but it proves futile as the equipment relies on herbal energy. The professor requests us to bring him an engine running on conventional fuel. We borrowed the engine from Gustav, who generously lends it to us. After finding fuel for engine, we deliver everything to the professor. He installs the components and now the saw is powered by the engine. Despite this, without herbal energy the saw fails to cut the black Orbment. The noise of the saw becomes more bothersome than its impact on the Orbment. Suddenly, the factory chief arrives with a task: fixing pumps at the hot springs. We go to the hot springs with Tita, leaving her to repair the pump while we search for a girl, Dorothy, who also stopped at the hot springs. Dorothy is in trouble, attacked by dogs, and we intervene. Returning to Tita, she has completed the repairs and the hot springs are operational. Taking the opportunity to relax, Estelle and Tita chat, delving into topics like love. Estelle gets embarrassed and leaves for the communal hot springs, where she encounters Joshua and starts yelling. The next morning we decide to return to the city. Along the way we encounter an Easterman looking for the way to the hot springs, and we guide him. Back in the city we learned that something happened at the factory and Professor Russell wasn't among the evacuated. Inside the factory we meet a guard who is also investigating. He questions why we have the young girl Tita with us. Joshua deduces that the smoke canisters causing the disturbance are similar to those used by the Sky Bandits. We encounter individuals in black who have captured Professor Russell and the black Orbment. We give chase, but when we reach the street, only royal guardsmen emerge from the building. Fortunately, Dorothy managed to take a photograph of these individuals. Captain Amalcia from the Royal Army arrives, ready to assist in the search. To help in this, Dorothy must hand over the photograph and the camera to Amalcia to prevent any unwanted publicity that could harm Queen Alicia's reputation. We rush to the guild to report and begin investigations, encountering Alba, who saw people in military attire in a tower he explored. Attempting to enter the tower, we are attacked by dogs once again. After the battle, Agathe concludes that these dogs are trained for specific attacks. On the tower's roof, we find the professor and kidnappers. Tita Furious fires her cannon, prompting one of the individuals in black to shoot back, but Agathe shields Tita with his body. The individuals in black escape on an airship, leaving us with an injured Agathe. Agathe in pain reprimands Tita for her actions. Agathe loses consciousness due to poison shot at him on the tower. Ordinary antidotes prove ineffective, so we must find Weissmann at the chapel who can help with a remedy for Agathe. Weissmann informs us that we need to find the Moria moss to create the medicine. Zin joins us on the quest for the Moria moss, as strong monsters inhabit the area. The moss is guarded by an evil penguin, which we must defeat. We bring the required ingredient to Weissmann and he creates the medicine. The nurse successfully applies it, improving Agathe's condition, although he still experiences pain but is no longer in mortal danger. The next morning we escort Zin to the ship bound for Gransel. Then we go to the guild where Dorothy brings a photograph depicting Leiston Fortress Royal Armed Forces and a suspicious airship linked to the kidnappers. Upon arrival at Leiston Fortress, we were informed that none of the higher-ups were present, but the commander was available. Major Sid, the commander, approaches us for a conversation. Showing him the photo of the airship, he decides to investigate the fortress. After he enters, an automatic door doesn't close, similarly reminiscent of the Black Orbment effect, according to Joshua. Joshua suspects that the professor might be held in the fortress along with the Black Orbment. Back at the guild, we share the news that the professor might be in Leiston Fortress. It seems like a crazy idea, but the facts align. Joshua speculates that the Royal Guardsmen might be responsible for all this, hinting at a conspiracy within the Royal Army. We need to reach Leiston Fortress urgently. The plan is to fly together with Murdoch, and with Russell's invention, Tita can bypass the biosensors, checking all transported cargo. Kilika finds a map of the fortress, aiding us in locating the professor. We are hidden in one of the containers as we fly to the fortress. During a check, soldiers find a container with activity, which turns out to be a cute cat from the airship, as a having climbed in or placed there by Gustav. Using the map, we estimate the professor's location and head there. The ship we saw on the tower when the professor was kidnapped is here. We find the professor and Colonel Richard, who wanted the professor to understand the workings of the GiockBul, our Black Orbment. Richard doesn't disclose the purpose of using the GiockBul, only hinting that we will soon find out. After some time, Richard decides to leave, leaving Major Sid alone. He reveals that the professor was kidnapped by rebels against Queen Alicia. When Sid was leaving, we only needed to defeat 2 guards near the door to the professor. After overcoming the guards, we bring the professor with us. A new problem arises. Major Sid organizes a search for those who entered the base. Escaping the fortress becomes challenging. Accidentally, we encounter our old adversaries, the Kappa family, and we don't help them. Almost Major Sid comes to help us. Sid informs us that Colonel Richard holds power, as the army structure is fragile and he exploited its weaknesses. He reveals the truth that the central factory attack was orchestrated by the Royal Guardsmen. Sid provides us with an escape route. We find a boat and make our escape. Arriving on an unknown island, Russell instructs us. We are tasked with delivering information to Queen Alicia in her castle, inquiring about the gospel held by Colonel Richard. The professor speculates that someone took the Black Orbment from the intelligence division and sent it to Cassius. The attack on the factory aimed to retrieve it. On this note, we go our separate ways. Estelle and Joshua head to Gransel, leaving the rest to Agathe. Meanwhile, Chloe and Schwartz run from the Royal Guardsmen, with Chloe trying to reach the Bracer Guild while Schwartz attempts to buy some time. Colonel Richard surrounds Chloe, preventing her escape. Oliver learns that the person he sought a month ago was in one of the Urbanian Bracer guilds. The guild branches in the Empire were attacked, likely by Jaggers hired by someone. We arrive at the guild explaining the situation, that we need to see Queen Alicia. We have a mission from Professor Russell. To reach Gransel quickly, we need an airship. After buying tickets for the airship to Gransel, Captain Amalcia arrives and we need to quickly flee the pod. We head through the gate leading to Gransel. Entry to Gransel Gransel is restricted, and there is a security check due to the ongoing investigation against terrorists. Alba arrives suddenly, and with him we manage to proceed, however we encounter soldiers warning about the danger of terrorists. In Gransel, Alba goes about his business at the History Museum. Estelle and Joshua go to the Bracer Guild for further instructions. There they meet for bracers, participating in the martial arts competition. Reporting events to local receptionist Elnan, including details about Colonel Richard, Queen Alicia and the Royal Guard's role. Unfortunately, meeting Queen Alicia won't be easy due to heightened security. Now we need information about the Queen's castle. Guards at the entrance reveal that Queen Alicia is in poor health, possibly due to stress or the Royal Guard's involvement in a terrorist plot. They hope Princess Claudia will assume duties. Duke Dunan exits the castle in a hurry, headed to the tournament. Estelle and Joshua attend the martial arts competition and witness in defeating for opponents single-handedly. Duke Dunan announces that winners can attend the court dinner party at Gransel Castle, although the Queen won't be present. Talking to bracers, Estelle gets the idea to join Zin's team to win the tournament and gain access to the castle. Approaching Elnan with the idea, he approves our participation. Trying to find Zin at the Calvert Embassy, we learn he is headed for the urban scenic road. Along the way, we encounter a nun in danger, and our task is to protect her. Zin comes to our aid, helping us defeat the monsters threatening the nun. After saving the nun, we go to a bar and express our desire to join Zin's team in the martial arts competition. We need another member for our team, and Oliver becomes the chosen one. The first day of the competition arrives, and we face old acquaintances from Rouen, defeating them again. The Sky Bandits team also fails to win, ending up back in prison. In this championship, even the Kappa family bandits participate. But our main opponent, who we'll meet in the final, is a team from the Royal Army Intelligence Division, led by Lieutenant Lawrence. After the day's battles, we meet Niall, who seeks the truth. We share all the information we know, including details about Colonel Richard, who seems to influence Duke Dunan. We reveal that special ops were responsible for past tragedies, including the fire and the incident with the Sky Bandits. Joshua asks Niall to find more information about people from the Intelligence Division, namely Colonel Richard, Captain Amalcia and Lawrence. On the second day of the competition, we face off against our friends from the Bracer Guild and manage to defeat them. The Sky Bandits team also fails to win and returns to prison. After the day's competitions, we head to Niall, who has obtained some information about people from the Intelligence Division. We learned that Lawrence was a member of the Jaeger Corps mercenaries. Colonel Richard served under Cassius' bride, but after Cassius left the army, Richard proposed forming the Intelligence Division approved by the Queen. Princess Claudia is waiting to be married off. Richard has been searching for a suitable candidate, flying to other countries. At this moment, someone calls Niall and he rushes off. Returning to the guild, we inform Elnan of everything. Returning to the hotel, we find a letter instructing us to come to the cathedral. However, due to the curfew, reaching the cathedral becomes challenging. Despite the curfew, we manage to reach the church. There, the nun we saved reveals herself to be First Lieutenant Schwartz. Schwartz asks us to meet the Queen and provides some assistance. We need to deliver a letter to the chambermaid Hilda, who will help us meet the Queen. We also learn a bit more about Cassius' bride's past, being the best swordsman known as the Divine Blade, and his transition to a bracer. It is late and Estelle and Joshua decide to live in the hotel, but they stop and promise each other that after everything in Gransel, Joshua will share his past and Estelle will reveal a secret she has been keeping from him. The next morning is the final day of the tournament. Against us is Lawrence, but despite that, we defeat him. Duke Dunan congratulates us and grants permission to attend the lunch at the castle. We go to the dinner party, but Oliver is taken back to the embassy. We arrive at the castle and we are welcomed by Captain Amalcia and one of the maids. Maitreyi informs us that the building on the garden terrace is heavily guarded, housing the Queen herself. Attempting to stroll there, we are stopped by guards, but a middle-aged woman named Hilda intervenes. Hilda offers to help us get through security to meet the Queen and asks us to return after the dinner party. While exploring the castle, Captain Amalfi invites all high-ranking individuals who were in Liberal. She informs us that the dinner party is starting. During the dinner party, Richard announces that the Queen is unveiled and her duties will pass to her nephew Duke Dunan. An official statement will be made at the festival in honor of the Queen's 60th anniversary. Trying to reach Hilda, we encounter Richard, who shares details about Cassius' bride and how Liberal could have become part of the Erebonian Empire without him. And Cassius decided to leave the army due to personal loss. We need to get to the Queen despite Richard's attempts to delay us. The plan involves disguising as mice to reach the Queen's location without arousing suspicion. We successfully reach Queen Alicia, who reveals an herbal reaction beneath Grancel, possibly linked to Colonel Richard's plans. Queen Alicia shares the story of Cassius' bride and how his plan allowed Liberal to resist the Erebonian Empire. Joshua realizes that Colonel Richard intends to create a military country using the artifacts, disregarding the concept of peace. Queen Alicia sends a request to the Bracer Guild to rescue her granddaughter, Princess Claudia, captured by the Intelligence Division. Now we await morning and return to the guild. Meanwhile, Colonel Richard and Lawrence reach the location where the needed artifact is hidden. Morning comes and we return to the guild. Now we need to devise a plan to rescue Queen Alicia's granddaughter. We gather all available bracers in Grancel and seek help from Schwartz and her soldiers. The plan involves distraction and ambush teams to save prisoners. At night, we head to the prisoners' location. The distraction and ambush teams are in action. The hostage rescue team reaches Princess Claudia, who turns out to be the familiar Chloe. Princess Claudia assigns us the task of saving Queen Alicia. After saving the hostages, Princess Claudia provides us with a map, and we need to come up with a plan since the castle is now better guarded. Oliver, Zin, and Joshua successfully infiltrate the castle through the sewer. They open the doors from the inside, making the castle less secure. Estelle and the team, along with the airship, face Captain Amalfi as their first opponent. After several battles, they reach the Queen, encountering Lawrence, who finally removes his mask. Lawrence proves to be exceptionally strong, comparable to Master Cassius, and he leaves after the battle. Schwartz informs us that the reinforcements from all regions have arrived in Grancel. We need to find Richard quickly and prevent him from completing his plan, so we head beneath Grancel. To activate the lift built by Richard, herbal energy is needed. We manage to descend beneath Grancel, discovering the impressive ruins of the ancient Zemurian civilization. The party splits into several teams to search for Colonel Richard. Our first opponent is Captain Amalfi. They have learned to control ancient machines. Despite their new capabilities, we defeat Amalfi. Our main goal is now to reach Colonel Richard. We reach Colonel Richard and find the Oriole, the shining ring and treasure he planned to use to empower Libel. Richard's plan involved unsealing and activating the artifact to give Libel the strength to resist other nations. After inserting the GiockBul, he decides to fight us. We manage to defeat him, causing an energy surge that deactivates the ruins. A barrier is lifted and a defensive mode activates using ancient artifacts. Richard sacrifices himself to protect us from the ancient artifacts and fights against the Guardian. Grappled by the Guardian, Cassius' bride intervenes. The crisis seemingly ends, the celebration begins, and Estelle and Joshua become full-fledged bracers. Cassius returns to the army to address remaining issues with the Intelligence Division. Estelle and Joshua take a stroll in the park, planning to share their pasts. Estelle is about to confess something when she suddenly decides to run after ice cream. Joshua remains alone and Alba approaches him. Alba reveals that he helped to restore Joshua's memory and that he is in fact Weissmann. Joshua is Enforcer number 13, the Black Fan, and his real name is Joshua Astray. The revelation involves a plan related to the seal on the ring. Joshua's role was to play a spy, leaking information about the Bracer Guild and Cassius' bride to Weissmann. Alba leaves and Joshua is left to deal with the overwhelming information. Joshua decides to tell Estelle everything. He was a child turned assassin and one of his targets was Cassius' bride. Cassius saved him and brought him into his family. Estelle confesses her love for Joshua. Joshua kisses Estelle but gives her a fast-acting sedative. Joshua admits he has left Estelle from their first meeting but is now leaving. This concludes in the first part of this game, and I hope to see you in the next part, where we can understand how all this will end.